Okay, I welcome you all and call to order the special meeting of the Glendale City Council for October 14th, 2025. We are in the Spar Heights Community Center, just south of Montrose. May we have roll call, please?
Yes, council members Asadrian,
Here.
Brotman, Karpetian,
Here.
Kasakian,
Here.
Mayor Najarian.
Here, may we have your report?
Yes, the agenda for the Tuesday, October 14, 2025 special public meeting of the City Council was posted on October 9th, 2025 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. And as I said, this is a special public meeting, and it's special in several respects. Whenever we meet outside of Glendale City Hall, or if we meet at a different time, it is deemed to be a special meeting. But we're also going to be conducting this meeting a little bit differently than our previous meetings. This is mainly an informational meeting. It's a chance for the department heads to make their presentations, and it's going to be a chance for us on the City Council at some point, if you so choose, colleagues, to abandon the dais and to go and sit amongst the constituents who have voted us in to run this city. So, a little different. There will be a chance for oral communication, but we have 3 items, and we'll officially read them into the record in just a moment, but there's going to be 3 items. We're going to have reports by the representative departments. After those items, we're going to go to oral communications, in which you'll be able to make your comments on any of those items that were presented or any general public comment that you would like. Afterwards, I encourage you all, upon adjournment, to stick around. We are going to have our department heads, our police chief, fire chief, public works, libraries, IT, who else? City manager, city clerk. Did I miss anyone in that?
Communication staff.
Communication staff. And council members, of course. You'll have a chance informally to ask us questions, give us your comments, and let us know how you feel. So, that being said, Madam Clerk, would you please read the first 3 items? And we'll go back to back to back.
You would like me to read all 3 items?
Yes, read 1, 2, and 3,
Okay.
and then the presenters will just come through. We won't pause between the 2. We'll have the oral communications at the conclusion of the Rockhaven project.
Our first item is the La Cristana Avenue project update. Our second item is Board of Forestry Zone 0 regulation update. And the number 3, the third item is Rockhaven project update. Mayor Najarian, we do have comments on the first 2 items. And we also have oral communication cards that are filled out.
Okay, we're going to hold off the actual comments until the conclusion of the third project, the third presentation. So let's, Mr. Galanyan. You want me to tee it up? May we please have the staff who is ready to present number 1, the La Cristana Avenue project update.
And we're supposed to go over there, right?
Yes, council, if you would like, I invite you to now join the members of the public. Like I said, it's a special meeting.
We just need a moment.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I put in passwords on both passwords. I need my password is the same thing as it is in the city one.
Good evening, members of City Council and Mayor Najarian, staff, and community stakeholders. Thank you for being present. My name is Rotem Tavitian, Senior Civil Engineer and Project Manager for the La Crescenta project. Rostam Tavitian. There's my contact info at the end. I'll share with you. But I'm happy to be here to present an update on the La Crescenta project, as you may have been getting my emails or driving up and down the street. So just a brief project overview. La Crescenta Avenue project will reconfigure travel lanes to improve safety and accommodate a center turn lane and bicycle facilities, as well as improve safety with intersection realignments and new signals. As you can see right down the street at Paloma intersection, there's a intersection realignment that we have recently completed. The other goals are to upgrade sidewalks, add ADA curb ramps, resurface the roadway, and upsize the sewer main. Additional scopes of work is adding a bioretention, planting street trees, and installing creative crosswalks. As part of this project, we've implemented a very strategic and engaging project outreach effort that includes attending community events such as the Montrose Farmers Markets on Sundays. We send out a bi-weekly project update newsletter that usually goes out on Mondays or Tuesdays, as well as attending stakeholder board meetings, updating our social media on MyGlendale Public Works, as well as the La Crescenta project website is frequently updated. And furthermore, we've utilized press releases as a way of disseminating that information to the community whenever there is urgent updates to be made. On this slide, you'll see a couple of project renderings that we're able to create, just a really nice visual for the community to see the before and after. And as you can see, this is right at the intersection of La Crescenta and Paloma by Fremont Elementary School. On the left-hand side is the before, and on the right-hand side is the after, and you'll see all the visuals and components of the project once it's complete. If you go out there and walk down the street right now, you can see majority of these improvements. We've completed the bioswale and the intersection realignment. Here's another project rendering at La Crescenta and Piedmont intersection with before and after improvements. The major components here include installing a pedestrian hawk beacon, which will provide a signalized crossing for pedestrians, specifically to get to and from the La Crescenta Women's Club and the CV Church, which there's plenty of foot traffic, especially on the weekends. Here are some construction photos we were able to gather throughout the life of the project. We were able to capture drone footage at La Crescenta and Paloma intersection while they were completing the bioswale and the curb intersection realignments. And on the right-hand side, you'll see some sewer upgrades. It's not that often that we get these types of photos captured, but this is a pretty nice visual for everyone to see what undertaking it is. Here are some more construction photos, specifically at La Crescenta and Shirley Jean. We upgraded curb ramps at that intersection about last month. And on the right-hand side, you can see more sewer upgrades at La Crescenta and Roselawn. We are upgrading from an 8-inch pipe to a 12-inch PVC pipe. So as of October 2025, the project is 60% complete. And with the project status, we've been sharing with the community as well as a press release that was sent out about 2 weeks ago. The construction end date is expected to be in March 2026, barring any unforeseen conditions. With this project, we've expected longer than expected lead times for traffic signal materials and utility conflicts that we encountered during construction. And what the community can expect to see from here until March are finishing the sewer upsizing, installing the traffic signals and the modifications, and finally, we'll be paving the roadway and do the final striping, which will conclude in March. And here's my contact information. We have the project website as well as a QR code. If you want to stay up to date, you can always email me. We can add you to the newsletter, and we have a lot of good information on there. So thank you very much.
All right, that's all I have for you. Hey, good evening. My name is Jeff Brooks. I have the extreme honor and privilege to be the fire chief for the Glendale Fire Department. Happy to be here in the Night in the Neighborhood. So mayor, city council, city staff, and all of you here, thank you. Tonight's a little bit of an update on Zone 0. Who's heard, by show of hands, of Zone 0? All right, so probably a half of the room. So that's a good thing as we get into this. So the Zone 0 ordinance is found under two separate state bills, AB 3074 and SB 504. You see, 3074 came out in 2020. In the time it came out in 2020, it was pretty highly contested already at that point, but there was no real direction. SB 504 in 2024. So these bills involve the creation of a new defensible space zone within the very high fire hazard severity zone in the local responsibility area. We in Glendale are what they call an LRA, a local responsibility area. That means the Glendale Fire Department is the authority having jurisdiction, and we're responsible for enforcing whatever comes down from the state in that. The other ones are an SRA, which is a state responsibility area. That would be state land. And then for us, we border the Angeles National Forest. That's FRA, federal responsibility area. So those are the three mains. Zone 0 is really, if you took this wall over here and you came out for the first 5 feet, from that wall on the side of your house to that first 5 feet out is considered Zone 0. And so as we talk about this, you can visualize what that is as we get into some of the nuances of what they're proposing. So since the initiation of 3074 in 2020, Zone 0 has been heavily debated. To date, they've had several public meetings. There's been over 5,000 public comments. So you can put that in comparison of how engaged the public's been in this. Even though it may feel like it's been a little bit below the radar, it has been highly contested and high engagement from the public. Many elements of the surrounding legislation are found in some public resources codes as well. Those are listed there. There's been so far a total of 8 public meetings across the state just in 2025 to discuss this. There's 2 more meetings left before they have to start making some decisions, one on October 23rd and one on November 3rd. The most recent meeting was held in Pasadena. As you can imagine, after the Eaton and Palisades, that was by far the most well-attended meeting they've had yet to date. And again, a ton of public comment. These meetings end up being extremely long based on the volume of public comment that's coming in. Some highlights that address many of the frequently asked questions surrounding the legislation. There's a lot of question on landscaping materials. So no landscaping materials that are likely to be ignited by embers are allowed in that Zone 0 section. So that would be mulch, wood chips, etc. Potted plants will be allowed within Zone 0 if they do not extend more than 18 inches above the rim of the pot. So that means whether you have a 6-inch tall pot, a 2-foot tall pot, as long as that vegetation doesn't extend 18 inches beyond that, that's part of the language right now. Trees, this has been one of the big questions. Trees may be within Zone 0 with the following conditions. They have to be maintained so that there's no dead or dying branches. Lower branches must be pruned to prevent fire from climbing into the canopy of the tree. And no branches should be within 5 feet of the walls or roof or walls and 10 feet of the chimney. That last piece is very close to what our current vegetation management restrictions are today. Who gets an annual notice from us? Anybody get an annual notice about vegetation management? So you'll see that in your notice. All those are kind of guidelines of what the regulations are and what you need to meet currently. And this is pretty much in alignment with that. There's some language on single specimen trees. That's any live tree that stands alone in the landscape, as to be clear of building structures, combustible vegetation, or other trees, and that does not form a means of rapidly transmitting fire from the vegetation to an occupied dwelling or structure. Single specimen trees are specified as an exception to the provision, but their definition provides the same level of protection as the requirements above. Protected trees, which we have a lot of in Glendale, as you know, those can be pruned but don't need to be. That's an elected option that you're going to have. And again, I want to be really clear. This is draft language, right? This is just the draft language we're currently working through. This is what's written today. Gates and fences, any attached gates that are within that zone 0 must be non-combustible. Attached fences must have a 5-foot non-combustible span nearest the structure, and no new combustible fences. We're already seeing that in the building code, those changes. Anything that's going to be a new build, you're already held to the higher standard already if you're in the very high fire hazard severity zone as it is. A lot of questions on ADUs. ADUs must comply with Zone 0 requirements. However, if your neighbor has an ADU, that can't trigger requirements on your property. They're only going to be held to that standard. This is a kind of, I think, a key point to the current draft language is alternatives. So within the local responsibility area, which is us, City of Glendale, the authority having jurisdiction may choose to develop alternative practices for Zone 0 compliance, considering things such as lot size and structure density. How big is the lot? How dense is that structure? Structure proximity in relation to a neighboring structure, wildland-urban interface, code building materials, local fire hazards, geography, plant ecology and maintenance, compliance with local ordinances. Here's the caveat to this language, and this is where we'll be leaning on the city attorney, because this is where it kind of gets into the legal piece of this. The alternative practices shall be supported with a finding by the authority having jurisdiction that the alternative practices provide for substantially similar practical effects as those stated in these regulations. So as we really drill down into what the final is going to be, if we're going to try to alter that at all, it's going to have to be pretty close in alignment. And I'll give you a parallel of where we see that. With the building codes, we have to either meet or exceed whatever comes down on the building code. The thought is that this is going to be very similar to the same. Whatever the state's final language is going to be, we're going to have some room for adjustment, but it's going to really remain to be seen what exactly that is. So what's next? Timelines. The governor's executive order requires an oversight committee to be finished by December 31st, 2025. That's the final. They have the final meeting we talked about in November. They go back. This is all done at the Board of Forestry at the state level. They're going to go back and they're going to put together their findings. They're going to draft the regulation. Here's the really key thing. The one thing truly that you want to take away from tonight is this middle one. These regulations are not effective until a guidance document on compliance is published. That's from the state level. Until we know what the state is setting as the standard and what the expectations are for homeowners, we can't enforce this. That's going to take a minute, right? And again, as they continue to go through this, this is going to continue to get moved around and adjusted. The Board of Foresters will make this guide publicly available. Once it's publicly available, then it'll go into effect. September, October, additional revisions to the draft rule will be considered. November, the full board considers the rule text and package, and they're going to vote to initiate a formal rulemaking process. November, December will be the formal rulemaking comment period, public hearing response from comments, and they'll revise as necessary. If you go online, you can go to the Board of Forestry, and you could see the current draft as of September. You'll see the red line just like you would on any other bill or anything that's going through a process of the revisions and changes that they've made to date, and they're pretty extensive. In January 2026, the board will consider the rulemaking process, complete the formal rulemaking process, and you can see we're already into January and we still haven't heard anything about the guide that has to come out until we do that. We're going to be well into next year's middle of the year probably before it really lands on anything until we can see it. We're continuing to monitor this. If it's a meeting that's close, we attend it in person. Otherwise, they have an option for us to log in and attend those meetings. So we're trying to track all the progress on what's happening with this. Again, constantly evolving. A lot of positions on either side on pros and cons for each, and there's really some good data and there's some bad data, and so that's part of the state's process of navigating this entire thing. Just as an update, the fire hazard severity zones, this is a new map in 2025. Anything you can see in the dark red is what we have in the very high, and obviously there's a big piece of there in the San Rafaels and the Verdugos. hard for you to see on this screen. It then goes to an orange line and then the yellow line. So the dark red is very high, and then moderate. It's a big change in this map for us. If I took the 2 freeway, that used to be clear, and that wasn't in the zone. That was clear. And then it's really pushed down. So if you took Mountain maybe up by Brand Park, that's pushed down further towards Kenneth. And then on the upper ends, it's pushed closer to the 210. And then from Duke-Magian area, it's pushed down further. That's all done on fuel modeling and expected ember cast of fires. But these maps have had a significant impact. And again, as we talk about Zone 0, the very high for us in Glendale, get into some numbers for you. Total number of acreage in the city prior is that left side, 12,242 acres were in the total fire hazard severity zone. Now is 14,968. In the very high is 11,378 acres. That jumps to 13,328. Inspections, right now we conduct 8,973 inspections on parcels annually today. When we get into next year, when that takes effect, we added 7,420 parcels in the very high. It'll be mandated inspections, and that's if you don't get a notice and your zone has changed, you will get a notice as we go forward. So that's an 83% increase. In our area, by far the most significant increase we've seen of any of our adjoining agencies. I'll use Pasadena. Obviously, these maps were done before the Eaton fire. If these maps were to go out and they put it back in the modeling, that would probably change based on what they saw. Right? Those are unprecedented conditions. There's unfortunately not a lot you're going to do when you're faced with those conditions. So these maps are going to have an impact. And again, as we talk about Zone 0, that very high number, those are the ones that are going to be impacted. So 16,000 residents we're going to be constantly in contact with once we have a better idea of where this is going to land. So thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Art Asaturian, Senior Project Manager from Public Works. I have the honor of presenting preservation and reuse of the former Rock Haven Sanitarium project. At this moment, I want to thank the City Council, City Manager's Office, and the community for allowing me to be here and present this project. Several months back, Council graciously awarded the full funding for all 3 tiers of the project. And I think after this meeting, we could leave this up so you guys could have a better look at it before I run through this presentation. The 3 tiers included 3 significant aspects in our scope. To establish ADA accessible pathways throughout the facility, rehabilitate the landscaping and irrigation systems, at the same time preserving historical landscape features. Also to restore and rehabilitate Pines Cottage building for future use as a museum. Currently, the project has begun. The contract is on site. They have begun to remove all of the accessible the pathways that are not accessible, and any vegetation that's in that area. They're being very careful to preserve all historical significant materials there. Myself and the architect are currently reviewing all the submittals that are coming in on a daily basis, basically for bricks, tiles, decorative metal railings, any site furnishings that are significant. Also, the preparation is on the way for an abatement of hazardous materials at the Pines Cottage. Obviously, we've been encountering a lot of materials that need to be abated, and we're taking our time to do this project correctly. Project timeline. We were tasked to finish this project as soon as possible. So that puts us in June of 2026. Like I mentioned, we've already mobilized. We've pulled all the permits. We picked up all the pencils. And the project has begun. The contractor, like I mentioned, demoed, is in the process of demolitioning and site prep, removing any existing features, and most importantly, protecting historical materials. In December through January, grading, foundations, retaining, and stone walls will be constructed, allowing us concurrently with the landscape portion of the project, the subcontractor Spectra will be dealing with the building. From January to April, the building rehab will take place, structural retrofit, finishes, and new mechanical, electrical, and plumbing features. Come February through May of 2026, all of the improvements, accessibility upgrades, and landscaping should be established, leaving us all of May to pass inspections and punch list items, and to allow us to close out the project in June and hand the facility back to the community where it belongs. Thank you very much. I guess we'll take questions as a group.
A staff has microphones out in the audience. If you have questions for any of the three presenters, feel free to raise your hand and we'll get you a microphone.
Well, we do have cards. Wait. Go ahead. Yeah, I know, it's a special meeting. Do we have speakers who've submitted cards, Madam Clerk, on this? Let's go to them first.
Yes, we have speakers on item 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, so let's take them in order, 1, 2, and 3. Each speaker will be allowed to have 3 minutes. I'd like to have the questions and answers done at the conclusion of the meeting, because I think it's best to be done informally. So let's have the commenters and just call them, and it's a 3-minute for the time on these particular agenda items.
We'll start with item 1. Item 1 has 5 speakers. Gigi Garcia, Ana Tabuena Ruddy, Beth Brooks, Mike Mohill, and Edmund Hagopian. So we'll take
And item 1 is the La Crescenta Avenue project.
Gigi Garcia is the first speaker.
We have a microphone. You can stand right
You
there.
have 3 minutes.
You can sit right there, too.
Sorry, you're gonna have to forgive me. I've had a rough day, flooding in the store today after the rain.
Sorry to hear that.
The life of a small business owner. Yes. I can project, I'm ready.
Here we go. We got another one here. This one works better.
Thank you.
It's not a conspiracy, Andre.
Oh,
It's not a conspiracy.
trust me, I don't take it personally. I'm here today to just ask this council to reconsider the trial on La Crescenta. I think it's imperative to try this program out instead of having a dedicated lane for bike riders, that after these fires, I mean, we all were here and lived through the fires. And the fact that we are not trying this plan out at this point before we initiate Class 4 lanes is shocking to me. That we could potentially put life and liberty at danger from evacuating this area that we saw on the fire maps are now in a severe fire area. So to evacuate North Glendale, Oakmont Woods, where I live on Shirley Jean, and get everyone out in time, I only have one bridge to get out on. And if something happens to that bridge or it's blocked off, we're not getting out. So I am asking this council to reconsider a trial on the La Crescenta project instead of putting in a Class 4 lane immediately. Please reconsider this. You've already gotten my letters, so I don't need to go further on that. I'd like to also bring up the Glendale plan. I'm requesting that the Montrose Shopping Park parking lots be taken off the Glendale plan. We've submitted a letter. I'm also the vice president of the shopping park, and it is these parking lots are used 24/7, 365 days a year. They're always full. Please consider taking. We want your no vote on Montrose parking lots. My last request is, or actually it's a question. So I see the Rockhaven plan. Will that affect Honolulu in any way once this construction gets going? We don't have a lot of information on this, so that.
Okay, we're not going to answer that now, but it will be answered at the conclusion of the meeting where we don't have time constraints and you can do your follow-ups, et cetera. Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Ana Tabuena Ruddy.
Just a moment. Looks like we've got a microphone issue. No?
Good evening, I'm Ana Tabuena Ruddy. My family and my neighbors are in strong support of the La Crescenta bike lane. We advocated for this several years ago. My 9-year-old, who is now 14, came in front of the council members to support these bike lanes along with his friends who go to Fremont Elementary. This is going to be a well-used bike lane. And speaking personally to someone that is personally involved with the Palisades fire, I can see the importance of having alternatives to exit a location when there's a fire besides just through a car. We've seen people that have been trapped in the Palisades because they've left their cars in panic, and having alternatives such as bikes or other means of transportation is really important, especially in a fire-prone location, Spar Heights. One thing I did want to point out is the flooding that is occurring at the intersections, especially on Urquides, where I don't think there's a bioswale that was included as part of that design. I have photos and videos that I can share of that flooding that we experienced this morning. We just want to make sure that as we're making improvements for the bike lane, that we're also including the stormwater capture that needs to be included as part of that. We know that there's one by the school, and we're really appreciative of that. However, at Urquides, it was pretty deep today. If you didn't have an SUV, you could get trapped in that cross gutter. So that's just one comment. But otherwise, we're looking forward to the completion of the bike lane, a permanent improvement along La Crescenta Avenue, and we're looking to celebrate in December. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Beth Brooks.
Okay, thank you. First, I'd request that whenever you have anything that you show us the cost. I think it's one thing to just say, here's the project, and then you find out it's like $30 million, and then a cost-benefit analysis would be really great, too. Like, it costs us $30 million to do this, and everybody goes, oh, my God, that's totally insane. Regarding the bike lanes, I think, I'm sorry, even if I wanted to ride a bicycle, I wouldn't endanger people from evacuating. If I wouldn't be so, I'm sorry to say, excuse me, selfish, that less than 1% of Glendale actually uses a bicycle, which is a risky behavior, I'm sorry to say. So if I am assuming that risk, I would not want other people to be punished because I have decided to assume that risk. I'm not talking about children, I'm talking about, that to me shouldn't get a penny. The fact that you need to evacuate from a fire, but somebody wants to ride their bike, you can't even compare the two. Life over, you're riding a bike. Ride your bike less. I'm sorry. I mean, I find that the height of selfishness. Regarding the fires, the fire department presentation, I'm interested to know, since, let's say, this project is getting many millions of dollars, I'm not a homeowner, I'm a renter, but are you going to pay homeowners to do these changes to their properties? Because I would think that that might be a little bit expensive. So if you're about to spend millions of dollars for less than 1% of Glendale, so they can ride a bike and less people can evacuate in a fire or an ambulance is stuck, are you also going to pay them to do landscaping? I mean, I think that would be beyond fair, because, you know, that's pretty much what I would have to say. Yep, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mike Mulhill.
Mr. Mulhall.
I don't need that.
No?
Hi, my name is Mike Bohill. I want to say the same thing about the people who do not want Luxetta Avenue project to be remodeled so we can have bike lanes. How many people have you seen riding a bike on Luxetta Avenue? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. 3 out of what? 50 people? Wow. I'm impressed. Are you council? This should be a temporary, like they did in North Rand. Because you know what? Come next year, when the election comes and we vote, there are 3 people on council who's for the bike lanes. Let's remember, Ellen Satrian, Dan Brotman, and Artie Kasakian. They all voted for it. Mr. Najera, did you vote for it, or yes or no?
Come on, Mr.
All
Mulhill.
right.
I thought you were paying attention.
Okay, well, sometimes the memory, you know, I'm 83, folks. Come on, give me a break, okay? However, there's an election next year. And Ellen Satrian, Dan Brotman, and maybe Arvin Najarian, he's saying no, but he hasn't taken his name off the election thing, folks, okay? So, we can vote these people out of office. We can vote them out of office if they continue with this bike lane crap, pardon my French. We need parking lanes, and we need traffic lanes. When there's a fire, you can have 1 lane of traffic in each direction, but don't forget, and the firemen, don't hit those bicycle riders. After all, they have rights too. Okay? This should be a temporary. Please do not install those, pardon my friends, those bike lanes. Everything else is fine. It could be remodeled, that street, but we don't need any bike lanes, and people, and you know what's so terrible? The homeowners who count on parking in front of their houses, street, where are they gonna park? If they have 2 or 3 cars, do you expect them to go around the block and find a parking space? That's not fair. And I'll tell you something else that's gonna happen. When this goes through, unfortunately, the homeowners in this area, their property value will go down because there's no street parking. It won't be a desirable area as it is right now. Is that fair? Did you think about that, Ellen, Artie, and Dan, when you voted for this? People, there's an election next year. It's not fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final speaker on item 1 is Edmund Hagopian.
Thank you. Good evening, council members and neighbors. Thank you for the opportunity. First, I wanted to thank Mr. Tavitian and all the city staff and the council members for allocating funds for pavement improvement, the upgrading the sewage system. These are all the desirable improvements that you have done, and we really appreciate it. It was needed. My questions and comments are going to be in regards to the bike lanes and how do we come to a place that everyone is happy with this decision? I'm going to touch on a few things. First, feasibility and our budget problems. I think at this junction, where we are facing a budgetary issue, it would be prudent to consider scoping down the bike lanes as a saving for our city. And I think that's a fair request, but that's up to you. The second one is the way these type of projects are pushed through the council, it gives you the persona that there is a high support for this type of project. For example, let's say I come together with 100 of my friends that they really like bikes. And then we start sending emails and calling the city council, demanding for bike lanes. It would give you the persona that there is a support, but in reality, there isn't compared to the larger population. So not for just this project, please consider that for the following projects as well. And lastly, I live on Ramsdale and Honolulu, so this area impacts my commute. And I also attended the Montrose Shopping Park Center meetings as well. Everyone that I've talked to, me personally, either they didn't know this was going on or they were against the proposal. So before we go in full pledge with this project, maybe consider sending mailers to the residents that are going to be impacted within the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, next is item 2. We have 3 speakers. Our first speaker on item 2 is Ana Tabuena Ruby.
And this is the Zone 0 presentation.
Following Ana is Beth Brooks and Herbert Milano.
Hi, Ana Tabuena Ruby again. Regarding Zone 0, my only comment is I hope the City of Glendale would be more proactive in providing comments to the Board of Forestry. The reason for this is because removing vegetation within 5 feet of a home can be very costly for a lot of residents of Glendale. So long as vegetation is well maintained and irrigated, it could serve as a buffer against fires actually. And removing vegetation within the first 5 feet may not necessarily let us be excused of insurance allowing that, right? We could still have insurance go up and have these vegetation removed. And in the meantime, we lose the ability to cool our homes naturally, to provide stormwater capture, to provide wildlife habitat. So I think a more proactive approach is necessary. There's a scientific technical committee that meets every Monday that's hosted by UCLA and the commissioner at LADWP on Mondays. And it shows that actually vegetation, especially if it's native vegetation, can help as a buffer against wildfire, specifically oak trees. Oak trees provide sort of a ember catcher. And so if we are just looking at vegetation by itself and not a systems approach of looking at home hardening as part of the situation, as part of the solution, I think that just removing vegetation, we would lose in that battle. I feel like a one-size-fits-all approach ends up being a one-size-fits-none. So I think that the City of Glendale should have a more proactive voice in those discussions and attend those meetings at the Board of Forestry and let them know, even just advocating for rebates for folks to be able to prune or trim their trees and provide them with irrigation. That is something that the City of Glendale can advocate for, and not just be reactive to what comes down from the state, that the local municipalities should have the say based on the nuances that you encounter, site-specific nuances. So that's all my comment. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Beth Brooks.
Sorry, I was mistaken with number 1. I thought I was supposed to talk about all of them because you told me that. Anyway, I cannot be any more eloquent than this wonderful woman who just spoke. She's right about everything. I believe that. I believe that you have to help pay for these improvements for people, especially when there are other things that you pay for that really shouldn't be paid for. This is absolutely critical. This is about fire safety. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., in case you just want to watch it on YouTube, there is a Building and Fire Board of Appeals, so there's an update on fire prevention. So if you want to listen to that, you can look at that on the agendas, because I think that for everything, I think that the outreach has to basically be, and I've mentioned it before, something like an advertisement where you can't just, if you were, and I've said it at, I don't even remember what meeting it was, you can't take some laundry soap and just put it there and say, here's the laundry soap. Why aren't you buying it? You remember this presentation, this comment of mine. You have to tell people, we are having this meeting and this will immediately impact you financially, it will impact, it might remove a car lane. You have to don't bury the lead. You have to tell people why they should be involved. Because people are not involved because the nature of the outreach is such that they don't know how it will affect them. Your entire way of reaching out to the public has to change. There was something at the back of the room at a council meeting, and it said, here, take this survey on, tenants and landlords. I'm like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, please tell me why I should take the survey. I know I will take the survey. People need to know how they're being affected. So the whole way you're doing outreach, I believe, has to change. You really have to tell people, and on the website, everything, it has to change. You have to say, this is going to cost you money. This is what's going to happen here. You may lose a lane. You really have to tell, and this is how much it costs. That's number one. Everybody has to know how much it costs and where you're getting the money from. Is it grants? Is it coming out of the regular budget? If it's a multi-year project, how much of it is from this year's? People need specifics, but you have to tell people why they should be engaged. Otherwise, you're just going to get the same, like Edgman was saying, the same 100 people who are going to tell you they want to ride bikes. Pretty much that's about a third of all the people who ride it anyway. So you're going to get a skewed version of support or lack thereof. So that's my suggestion. I definitely, I thought her comment was incredible, and I really do think that you're going to have to help people bear this cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Herbert Milano.
Mayor Najari, members of the City Council, my name is Herbert Milano. In January, during the Eden fire, I was recalling the situation we had a few years ago with the station fire, and the significant amount of concern that a lot of communities had when that ridge fire was really threatening the neighborhoods in this area. And I decided to ask for the records of the Glendale safety element that hadn't been updated then. I guess it was updated recently, and the City of Glendale emergency plan. And I read both documents, quite a few pages that I suggest others to read it. And in those documents, my interpretation of it is that the city must review every year, annually, and create a review of the plan. And then I checked to see how many times during the last 20 years there was a review. It was only 5. So here it is, the documents of the city indicating that you should be doing this every year. And the reason why I'm here is that I have been suggesting for a fairly long time, since 2005 at least, that the city set aside each month as an annual recurring focus point. And I think that you need a month in which every year you are addressing the issues having to do with fire and all types of fire, report from the fire department, and address these issues. This way, the community knows it's January, that's the time to come in and basically give their input. And an annual report and an annually set month where you are addressing maybe 1 month Public Works, in another month Glendale Water and Power. But the way you're doing it now, it's very ad hoc. We really only know like 70 hours before what type of topics you're going to bring up. But without a systematic way of addressing the topics that pertain to the city, we really don't know what's coming up from 1 week to the next. And it would be nice to have a month dedicated, fully dedicated. That way you handle the issues about the budget, the particular shortfalls, the projected objectives, and the key performance indicators. And I know I've talked to a lot of you about that, but this highlights that problem. Without a systematic approach to addressing these issues on an annual basis, we're going to forget about it, like it happened in the last 20 years. So it is my suggestion that those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, on to item 3. We have 2 speakers. The first speaker is Ana Tabuena Robbie, and the second one is Matthew Ganji.
3 is the Rock Haven project.
Hi, I've lived here for 30 years, so reason for the comments on all the agenda items. So back in 2008, I had done a documentary film, a short documentary film on Rock Haven. It was a institution that's been there for many years, and it was a lot of intrigue because it was covered in vines, and so it was always so interesting for someone young to be walking by it every day, wondering what was in there. And through the generosity of Bob McFall, who was the, I believe, the assistant city manager at that time, he introduced me to a lot of the folks that used to work at Rock Haven. Ivan Cole, who was the groundskeeper, Charles Bosbach, and a Japanese-American nurse that worked at Rock Haven. And so I support any improvements that is happening at Rock Haven and any sort of thoughtful preservation and reuse of the facilities. I'm curious how Zone 0 would affect any of the landscaping that was mentioned in the presentation, since a lot of them are right against the buildings there. I would only suggest that if any kind of thoughtful reuse would happen, that consideration for native landscaping will be used. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Matthew Ganji. Following Matthew is Mike Mohill.
Hello, I'm Matthew Ganji, and I just wanted to say, I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I live in Oakmont Woods area, and hello. I can just project. I live in the Oakmont Woods area. Our company had worked on Rock Haven a long time ago. We had written a proposal, and at the time we had actually asked the city for no subsidy to fix everything up, and I had really cool people renting all the buildings to make it into like a cool retail shopping zone. And so yeah, I just wanted to say on behalf of myself, I was really disappointed, even for reaching out to the city. We didn't get a chance to bid on the construction management or the construction of the project. We didn't know what was going on, and we all live in the area. We're all residents of the area. But anyway, it's water under the bridge in the future. But yeah, we had hired a historic architect to do the ADA pathways. We had engineers engineer every building, do drawings for the buildings. We had it all leased up. But we're doing a similar project in South Pasadena, same kind of thing. We won it on a proposal I wrote, and the businesses are opening in a couple weeks. So I'll do a formal invite to staff and council. I hope everybody can come. We won the RFP to the city, and we've rehabbed a bunch of 1920s buildings that I've programmed to cool like food hall uses and a concert venue. So I hope everybody can come out to the grand opening of that. And also just speaking on my behalf too, I know maybe it's not, but whatever it's, but knock on wood that there's no fire coming to our area. But I wonder if there could be some way, going back to item 1, sorry, that there could be, proper fire exiting and stuff while also making things more pedestrian and bike friendly. I think one of the reasons why we don't see bikes on La Crescenta Avenue is because it doesn't feel safe to ride a bike. And, I would love to walk or ride a bike to the cool things happening at Rock Haven or in Montrose if it was safe to ride a bike or walk it afterwards. So anyway, those are my comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mike Mohill.
Evening, my name is Mike Mohill. When Rock Haven was first considered years ago, I was against it. I was totally against it. But through time, I got educated. I saw the value is Rock Haven. And I believe the community wants to save it. Now, I know Joanna has been behind it for many, many, many years. She and I have had a few conversations in the past. And I think the city should do anything that's possible to preserve the Rock Haven institution. You can't hear me. Hi, folks. My name is Mike Mohill. Well, real briefly, okay? Okay. Okay. When Rock Haven was initially considered for the city, I was totally against it. I think they wanted like about $8 million, I think. I don't remember the number. But I didn't see any historic value behind it. But through the years, I've been there several times. I've spoken with Joanne, the woman who runs it, who's all behind it. And it's part of the history of the neighborhood. That's important. Just like we need to save the Sears Tower. There's a lot of history in this city, and a lot of people want to keep it that way for our children and grandchildren. You know, if you don't remember history, life will repeat itself. We need to do whatever it takes to make Rock Haven a welcoming spot for the whole community. Mr. Ganji Jr., that back there, I believe I knew your father. If it's the same Ganji that you're talking about. Is it? It's interesting. Okay, I vaguely remember him. Okay. But isn't it nice? Here we are. Here, Mike Mohill. I was against it. And now I'm for it. Just like, for example, years ago, I was for council districts. Not anymore. I've changed. So people do change when they get more educated. Now, the issue here is money. But you know, if you can find money for frivolous things, and I'm not going to talk about those frivolous things, you know what I'm talking about, then we can find money to preserve Rock Haven. Thank you.
Thank you. Now is on to oral communication. Mayor Najarian, we have 9 speakers on this item.
I'm going to allow 3 minutes per person for this portion of oral communications. This is on any subject, just like the council meeting where you can talk about anything.
Our first speaker is Beth Brooks. Following Beth Brooks is Damian Sullivan and Edmund Hagopian.
I think probably what everybody is here for oral communications is SB 79, which is a time bomb for not just single-family homeowners, but actually renters. I don't know how many renters are here, probably not that many, but people don't understand that this could actually trigger mass evictions. So there, you know, most of the apartment buildings in this city are quite old. I think it's 75% are built before 1975. So a lot of people, a lot of owners are just going to say, let me cut my losses and just sell to a developer. So this is very, very dangerous. I think, you know, we've all investigated. You can pull out of the dedicated bus lanes on Glen Oaks. And I think for me, because other people will speak about this more eloquently than I can, I believe that I believe that we're being held hostage by big millionaire developers in this city, and I think that instead of acting like a corporation that's looking at the bottom line, because I know that you're overseeing a $1.2 billion budget, you should act more like a government body that needs to help and protect its residents, because I feel like that's the difference. You know, you are either a corporation or you are a civic body that has been elected by the people. And my 4 suggestions, as I mentioned, although I want to just insert one thing, I want to thank Mr. Kasakian for his kindness to me last week. It really touched me. Thank you. I would say that what you need to do as far as, trying to scale down big development is union labor above 10 units. I think that I don't know how the fire department has actually signed off on these larger units. I don't know how, if 680 units are going to be built on Central, that's 1,200 more cars, let's say, or 1,000 more cars. How's an ambulance getting through that? I don't even know. You've got 1,000 more people trying to get to the, I don't even understand how this is being signed off on. And I think that, health and safety is a pushback for all of these housing laws that are coming down. I think you need a rental registry, the same as Pasadena, which is that you charge per unit landlords, so that would generate around $13 million because there are 55,000 rental apartments in this city. And you have to pass objective design standards because that's another way to push back. I think you have to push back on all this density. I know that it's being shoved down our throats, but I still think that there are ways that you don't have to give people the rope to hang you with. You know what I mean? If Sacramento is saying, here, we're going to hang you, we don't have to give them a rope. You can just slow it down. You can make it more expensive. You can make it smaller because people don't understand. They think that this is building affordable housing. It's 15% affordable. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Damian Sullivan. Following Damian is Edmund Hagopian and Alex Balakian. Damian Sullivan is no longer here, I think. So we'll move on to Edmund Hagopian.
Hi. Hello? Okay. I'm going to keep it short so everyone else can speak at the end as well. I wanted to ask you to, this is the second time I believe asking for this, to agendize the BRT and publish a fact sheet of what's going to happen to our city. So the residents can decide what is the approach that they want to take. And it really helps to know where the city leadership stands on this. I mean, the city council. Are we going to try to ask, and also I would really appreciate it if you can take a clear stance on where you are on this BRT lanes, so the residents can decide what would be the next step. This is going to impact a large community, and as you saw and actually felt how the design review board decided on those, the recent project where neither the city nor the design review board could change the scope of a project. This is going to happen across the board to all the lots with a quarter mile from Glen Oaks all the way to Central and Broadway. So please, again, agendize the BRT as soon as possible, clarify your position, and I would like a fact sheet of all the details of what's going to happen to our city if the BRT goes through with the passage of SB 79. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Alex Balakian. Following Alex is Mike Mulhill and Carolyn Kalustian.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Alex Balakian. I'm going to give a fact sheet here to the City Council so you can look along with me, and I'm also going to, you can feel free to pass this amongst yourselves. So I am here to request that City Council agendize withdrawing Glendale from the BRT. And the reason I'm saying this is it's not going to be a permanent withdrawal. It will be a temporary withdrawal, but it'll be a complete withdrawal. So because it's the only shred of local control that we have left to protect ourselves against SB 79, which Ellen opposed in a social media post, which Ara opposed with a letter to the governor. And so in case you are watching this from home, what is happening is that a bus route is coming through the city along Glen Oaks, Central, and Broadway. A bus lane will take up one lane of traffic on either side. So not only are we losing a lane of traffic on either side, but a developer can go to any lot within half a mile of Glen Oaks, Central, and Broadway and build a dense structure, quadruple the current density that is approved, 4 to 9 stories of a tower, simply because it is close to this dedicated bus lane. And the only way we can protect ourselves is to withdraw Glendale from this dedicated bus lane. Now, I bring your all's attention, 2 weeks ago, there was a project near the corner of Pacific and Glen Oaks, which all 4 of you voted against because this monstrosity was going to put up a 4-story tower with 43 units, no dedicated parking, no open space, was going to demolish the existing apartments that averaged roughly 700 square feet and had dedicated parking and had open space. And if this thing remains as the BRT, that tower will be built against your recommendations and without our consent. So I ask everyone here, everyone listening at home, the only recourse that we have is to withdraw Glendale from the BRT. I'm not saying entirely, right? We're happy having a bus lane. If you look at the paper that I gave you, Pasadena has 2.2 miles of this bus lane with no dedicated lanes. Glendale's portion is 94% dedicated lanes. Why are we selling ourselves out for the sake of this bus lane? I say that we remove it, we keep any shred of local control that we have, and I encourage you to agendize it immediately for immediate withdrawal from the BRT. Thank you.
Well, I've been kind of lax, but I'm going to request that we not have applause after each speaker.
Our next speaker is Mike Mohill. Following Mike is Carolyn Kalustian and Alec Bartrosov.
Evening, folks. My name is Mike Mohill again. All the speaker who spoke about withdrawing the BRT, I support that. We don't need to have neighborhoods destroyed. Can you imagine you're a homeowner and the next day you open up your door and there's a bulldozer, someone's tearing down someone's house. And that house is going to be like about 4 stories or 5 stories high. It's an apartment building or apartment complex. Is that fair? Fairness? It's all politics. But we should take back our city and tell Sacramento to stick it you know where. Yes. Because this is our city. I don't want Sacramento telling me how my council people should run our city. Now, I don't always agree with our council people. You know that. But we elected these people to look after us. I don't believe Sacramento, and you know what's so ironic is that the local representative in this area for the Assembly and the Senate, they did not listen to us, and they all voted yes. One said absent, and the other 2 said yes. Those people should be voted out of office next time they run for re-election because they don't listen to the people. Council people, again, I don't always agree with you, but on this one, we must pull out of the BRT. We don't know SB 79. People buy into a nice residential, quiet neighborhood, and that's what they expect. They don't expect some developer who wants to make money and put up an apartment building next to them. And then you know what? After 1 or 2 people sell their house to a developer, it's going to have the domino effect. Before you know it, and they know it, within the next 5 or 10 years, the whole neighborhood is going to be nothing but apartments. And that's what Sacramento wants. But you know what's so funny about the governor of California? Guess where he lives? Kenville, I can't pronounce, in Marin County. He lives in a $9.5 million home. And he's unaffected by this decision. Why don't we have him move to Glendale? By the way, I'll find $9.5 million and I'll move him to Glendale. Let him suffer like we suffer. Again, council members, let's get active. Tell Sacramento, tell our supervisors that Glendale, and I'm sure Burbank feels the same way, and so does Pasadena. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Carolyn Kalustian. Following Carolyn is Alec Bartrosov and Archie.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Carolyn Kalustian, and I'm here tonight as a resident of Rosmoy neighborhood. I'm asking this city council to withdraw the current request for proposals for management of the Civic Auditorium and to return to the community, our community, for meaningful outreach before reissuing the new RFP that reflects what the neighbors actually want and deserve. For nearly 2 years now, the Civic Auditorium has existed under a cloud, largely due to a lack of transparency from this council. Since January 2024, there has been closed-door sessions with a political donor of one of our council members involving exclusive negotiations over the management of this important public asset. These discussions are only now being brought to light. As a neighborhood, we are deeply concerned about this process. The talks with this donor stretch from January 2024 to August 2025, conducted entirely out of public view, and now, within a span of just 6 weeks, the city has rushed through what's being described in the staff reports as some limited outreach with nearby neighborhoods. We want to know, why were these under closed-door negotiations for 18 months, but only 6 weeks of limited outreach to actual residents most affected by this decision? What else is going on? Glendale has a history of weak community engagement, and Rosemoyne has felt the consequences firsthand, most recently with the residential overlay proposal for these very parking lots. But we've also shown what we're capable of when really given a chance to be heard. Nearly 200 people showed up to a church meeting to weigh in on that issue. We are ready to engage when the city genuinely invites our voices. So tonight, I'm urging you, pause this RFP, go back to the community, conduct real outreach. We've heard about not getting enough outreach. There are polling companies whose job it is to get a hold of people, ask them questions, get their responses. A poll probably costs $10 a person. Maybe with 10,000, we'll talk to 1,000 people. This is a way less expensive way than getting an expensive consultant to do less work. Only then can we move forward with this new process, one that's transparent, inclusive, and designed to bring forward the strongest candidates aligned with a clear and community-supported vision for our civic auditorium. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Alec Bartrosov. Following Alec is Archie and Herbert Milano.
Good evening. First, I want to say thank you for doing these community city halls. I think it's a great way to engage. I know some people have come in simply because they live in the neighborhood, so thanks for doing that. I'm also here to talk about SB 79. I know that there is a lot of confusion and fear about that piece of legislation being signed by the governor. I know that further along in the legislative process, there were some specific amendments that were made to provide a bit of a release valve for local cities that a lot of people don't know about and are confused about and don't know what it means. So I'm hoping that through the city's resources and staff, we can put together a fact page like you do have for the BRT already, something for SB 79 and specifically how that affects our city and what amendments were made to address local concern. Because ultimately that's what people want, is we want to retain local control, and we're all trying to figure out what this piece of legislation means for the city of Glendale specifically. And absent that information and absent that direct engagement from the city, we're seeing a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding about how this specific legislation affects our city. So I'm hoping you can take the lead on helping us understand what it means and how we can play our part to help shape the future of our city. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Archie. Following Archie is Herbert Milano and Lisa Cusack.
Good evening. Well, first of all, I want to praise the Department of Integrated Waste, because as soon I brought a problem with the compost that they're giving away, the next time they solved it, and there were 4 supervisors, because gardeners from other cities, they bring vans and take all that compost, and city of Glendale residents don't get nothing. And they bring it in our streets and they sell it to us. So I called the manager there, Mr. Epstein. This week, everything was good, limited, and so good job, Mr. Epstein, and Integrated Waste. My second item is disappointment. Again, you guys know how many times someone has to come to you, talk to you guys, city manager, members, and bring a problem that it's with the Glendale Water and Power, that thousands of meters, electrical meters, are not working, and they're charging you more. I got reimbursed for $3,000. Wow. Guys, check your meters. I was told more than 1,000 meters are not working. I found it out by chance. Nobody checks the kilowatt on their bill. I saw that for the 6 months or a month, my kilowatt was the same. Every month I use 100 kilowatt. I mean, is it possible? No. So when I call, they say, yeah, your meter has not been working for 20 months. 20 months. And nobody sent me a letter that saying my meter is not working. And they were estimating my bill, and they estimated my bill when 2 months I was not even in the country. Okay? I brought that to the attention, and when to shut me down, next day they brought and changed my meter. And I was told, we have only 16 available, and we don't have meters. But to shut me down, they gave me next day. And the guy who came and changed it, they said, yeah, there are thousands, we don't have meters. So I brought this many times. I haven't got a concrete answer. I'm getting some letters, emails. You know, I've been living in this city for 47 years. I was way before all of you here. I know everybody, and I know how it works. This is not the way to work. If somebody brings a problem with the city, please address it. Don't put it, I mean, it's not fair. I want to know why for 20 months my meter was not working. Glendale Water Power didn't send me even one notification. Thank you.
Next speaker is Herbert Milano. Following Herbert Milano is Lisa Cusack and Eric.
Members of the City Council, my name is Herbert Milano. It's interesting that I'm going to be segueing on the comments made by the previous speaker. For many years now, I've been really bothered by the idea that people come to City Council during the 3-minute session or during the 5-minute session, and nothing appears on the minutes of the City Council packet. It's as if we didn't exist. We put the name, but no topic. And I think at the very minimum, you know, when we have to sit down for 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, as you tell us what you did last weekend or what you did last summer, I really want to see an engagement where someone comes in and maybe write 200 words, submit it to the city clerk, and have that issue appear on the minutes so that it could be addressed in the future. The complaints that the city residents have need to be addressed. Why wait 3 hours, sometimes 4, sitting at the City Council to be able to say a few words to you, and then the council session is done, and then the words evaporate, unless somebody wants to trudge through the video. The complaints and the issues and the opinions of the public need to be recorded and be part of the record. And ideally, you will not be breaking any laws if you just reply for 1 minute and recognize it or get additional clarification. You're not addressing it, you can put it on the agenda. But I don't want to end up with a negative word. I want to congratulate the City Council with a fantastic presence at the Fremont Park. It is one of the few instances where I feel so amazingly connected to you, because that work was just amazing, and the park was just outstanding, and we need more of that. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Lisa Cusack. Following Lisa is Eric and Ruby.
Hi, I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but when the woman who's the documentary filmmaker brought up the escaping from the Palisades fires on a bicycle, I felt compelled to sort of tell a personal story there. So I don't know what your personal connection is to Palisades, so I say this with all respect, but I was born and raised there. Both my parents' and my grandparents' house burned down to the ground. My 70-year-old parents were driving over embers and through flames. We have a family friend that passed away in the fires. A good close friend of mine had to grab the children out of her school and run down to the ocean with them. There is absolutely no way anyone could have escaped in a bicycle, especially the 12 senior citizens who passed away. And so I think the policy point here is that there was many problems in the Palisades fire and many failures, but one of them was overcrowding. The Palisades struggled the village was not built to handle the highlands. And when that traffic jam happened, it was because there was overcrowding. This is an issue that needs to be considered with SB 79 and the dedicated bus lanes that will trigger SB 79. This is a fire hazard. And again, it's the elderly that died, and nobody escapes on a bicycle.
Our next speaker is Eric. Following Eric is Ruby and Tom Larson.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to first start by thanking Glendale PD and the fire department. We have one of the safest communities, and that's saying a lot living in Southern California. Second, if you will go to page 5 of the La Crescenta Avenue development, there's a crosswalk, a colorful crosswalk that's in the render. Have any of you noticed there's a person in the crosswalk? Who designed such an obscure crosswalk? Children wear colorful colors. The average speed there is about 40 miles an hour. You want to put a visual obstacle in the way of moving traffic? I think we should look at those colors, we should look at that crosswalk, we should look at the designs and reimagine it to be more clear for pedestrians. Second, the average travel up and down daily on La Crescenta Avenue is about 12,500 people in vehicles. Removing a lane each way is going to cause congestion to pull over to all the adjacent streets, residential streets, schools, daycares, kids playing in the streets. We all see those little yellow signs, drive slow, there are kids playing. And what do you think angry people at traffic, unrestful, and just trying to get to work throughout their day, what do you think is going to happen? Their emotions are going to be high, they're going to drive through there, and accidents are going to happen. We should rethink the design of the lanes on La Crescenta Avenue. It's a major thoroughway for La Crescenta to Glendale. Please, let's take a look at that. Second, I'm not going to talk about SB 79 because everyone's aware of it, and the entire state, homeowners, residents, they already know what's up with it, and people don't like it. So aside from that, I want to talk about a few weeks ago with a few meetings with Bradley Cooper, we were informed that since the inception of the state requiring high-density housing, mid-density housing in Glendale, part of the requirement for the city to meet their obligations to the state was to develop. But part of the state's obligation was to provide funds, adequate funds for municipalities, police department, fire, to increase in ratio for the additional people. Last week, Councilman Garpetian brought it up to council to investigate it, see what's going on. And Bradley Cooper has mentioned that we have not received, Bradley Calvert has mentioned we have not received any funds from the state. So if we are forced in Glendale to meet our obligation to the state, but the state is not meeting their obligation to us legally, why do we have to go ahead and develop new developments when the state is not meeting their obligation to us? Please, let's investigate this. Let's see what's happening. Where are the funds? We need the funds, and let's get to the bottom of it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ruby, and following Ruby is our final speaker, who's Tom Larson.
Bradley Calvert, Mr. Eric. But that's a good name. That's a good name. Good evening, Council. My question to you is why you allow Sacramento to dictate our local zoning ordinance? Why don't you challenge Sacramento? When SB 9 was passed, about 5 cities challenged the state. Yeah, they lost, but if more cities join, probably will win. You can even challenge even further. Why are you swallowing what the governors just did on SB 79? Why? And it should be unconstitutional because it does not get implemented in his own county where he lives, which is the Marin County. So someone needs to challenge this. I heard yesterday that Orange County is contemplating of challenging the state. So why don't you check, and why don't you join, and then some cities also in San Diego. So enough of swallowing all these local zoning ordinance that it's, what's his name, Scott Wiener from the senator from San Francisco is implementing, writing those bills. And regarding, if you guys are going to tell me that you don't have the money, but you have plenty of money for the bike lanes. So, we are under $34 million under budget, underwater this year, and you touch our reserve, you have to tighten up your belts. Enough is enough, and, we always hear excuses from some of you, but you need to step up to the plate and challenge the state. That's my two input, because the quality of life will change drastically. We don't want any high-rise development close to residential neighborhoods. I'm against those lots next to on Verdugo. I'm against the lots in Montrose. The civic auditorium, that's another issue that someone raised. Enough of the cut to traffic, throughout the single-family residential neighborhood. So I know some of you have friends in Ross Moines. Some of you have friends in La Crescenta. So you guys have to talk real. No more politics. That's my 2 cents.
Our final speaker is Tom Larson.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you, City Council. I lived in this neighborhood for 47 years, so I've seen a lot of things happening. I've seen a lot of change. I've seen some good things. I've seen some things that I consider not so smart. I just want to touch on a couple things that have been addressed tonight and a couple other things that just kind of bother me. I think this bike lane on the La Crescenta is an absolute folly. I think it's a waste of money. Nobody in their right mind who rides a bicycle is going to ride their bike on that stretch of La Crescenta. I rode my bicycle from Vancouver, Canada to San Francisco, and there are areas along that route that are about equally as unsafe as that is. Cars roar up and down that street all night long. You can hear them. They're going fast. That is not a place that any cyclist is going to go. The guys who ride down through Montrose and so forth take routes that are safer. They go down Honolulu, they'll go to Verdugo, they'll go down Descanso Gardens. The bike lane up on Foothill, absolute waste of money. You lose a lane, not a good idea. There's more critical needs in the city than whatever this is going to spend. And I applaud the city for undoing what they did on Brand. I think that was, or Central, wherever it was. Item number 2, on the fire ordinance situation, I've got a son who's a battalion chief, so I'm not saying I'm a fireman, but I know a little bit about what's going on and talking to him. Most homes have some vegetation within 5 feet of their house. I can't think of one house that doesn't have some area that's within 5 feet that has some kind of vegetation. I'm not saying it's all bad, or I'm not saying it's all good. Some of it's very combustible, some of it's not. But I think it's unreasonable for somebody here who said, well, people should get a rebate, somebody should pay them back. This is a safety issue. This is a fire prevention issue. It's not a, well, I put these plants here, and if I have to take them out, somebody should pay me to do that. The city of Glendale doesn't have the money to do that, so I don't know where that money's going to come from anybody who's suggesting you're going to get a rebate. Not happening. As far as I'll touch a little bit on the density thing. I hate the expression affordable housing. It is not affordable in California in most places, and especially here. So if we think density is going to solve the problem for affordable housing, it's not. It only makes the life of our residents here more frustrated, more angry, because there's more people, more traffic, less parking. It puts money in the developer's pocket. It doesn't do anything for our neighborhoods. It takes away from the character of the neighborhoods. We have apartment. The houses that get built.
Thank you. Your time is
That's
up.
it? All right. Thank you.
Okay, does that conclude the speaking?
That concludes the public comments.
Okay, so what we're going to do is conclude this part of the special meeting, but we're going to begin the question and answer, mix and mingle. We've got almost all the departments here. I saw Scott Mellon. GWP is here, so there are a couple issues with GWP. We've got police, fire, treasurer, the public works team. Almost everyone is here, so I'm not sure how we're going to do that. Maybe we'll sort of pick a corner if you can. Council members will also be around to, if you so choose, to ask them questions. Mr. Kasakian?
Yeah, Before we, I guess, move on to that portion, I just want to thank everyone who came. It's great to see a turnout, folks who've come from near and far corners of the city to be here. Obviously, we're going to continue, I believe this council will continue to do these meetings, and I thank Mayor Najarian for planning this one for Spar Heights, because I think there is a lot of issues that, as we've heard from folks, and it's particularly great to see so many folks out here when the Dodgers are in a very important playoff game too. I won't give away what the score is. Some of you may have been checking it anyways on your phones, and I look forward to sticking around to hearing from all of you. Thank you for coming.
Okay, we're ready to mix and mingle.